Hello and welcome to this edition of Minstrels on the Block, where we bring you the finest singer-songwriters in the Valley area. This week's special guest is Mr. Ryan Boss. So Ryan, good to have you on the show, man. How you doing?
Here, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Well, rocked and rolled a little hard last night, so I got a headache. But tell me about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born in Atlanta, more Alpharetta area. It's kind of 30 minutes outside. Grew up, born and raised around the same area. I had a lot of room to be myself and kind of figure, or maybe not necessarily be myself, but figure out who I guess I was. I had, had a lot of time indoors and kind of playing with things. My parents were always very cultivating of my creativity.
Very cool.
Now, granted, when I started with the electric guitar, they weren't as supportive. They liked it when I was quiet. But
I think Bruce Springsteen has a story like that. Tell me about your parents. What did they do?
My dad's in commercial restoration, which means whenever something happens, God forbid, he's there like that to come up, clean it up, and take care of the restoring and getting all the buildings and whatnot back to normal. And my mom is in auto sales.
Very cool. Now, were your parents musical at all?
My dad's always been a guitar player, and we always like to joke. We both have severe gear acquisition syndrome. The gas,
That's a good one.
He's always been the one that's like, when I would go and see him, he would always have guitars. And I remember when I was very little, before I even started playing, he had just this huge, great axe collection in his basement. He had drums, and I think he had 36 electrics at one point in time. And just all kinds of recording stuff and cool things that I had no clue what it was or had any interest in it at the time. So unfortunately, he doesn't have all that stuff anymore, and it's a shame, because if I had only known back then, maybe I could have hidden one of them. Maybe he wouldn't have noticed 35 of them.
They always get rid of them just short of you being able to use them.
Oh yeah.
Well, now tell me about. Is that where you got the idea for music, from your dad?
Partially. There's a couple different sources I can cite for the music. I've always, ever since I was really little, been a huge Michael Jackson fan. So when I was really little, they used to put like a little Jerry curl wig on me and throw a little fedora, and I would grab my crotch around and do the moonwalk and all that stuff. But it kind of evolved. My stepdad started showing me some Van Morrison and Stevie Ray Vaughan. From there, I picked out Jimi Hendrix, and on my own, I kind of discovered Guns N' Roses and AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and all these just great old music, Sam Cooke and stuff like that. These were the kind of people that I was listening to from the time I was like 14 to, well, now.
So some of your early influences.
Yeah.
Now, what made you, what sparked it for you? What made you, from saying, I have an interest in this, to beginning to pick it up, to stick with it?
Well, I remember the first time that I decided, okay, you know what, I had a guitar. My dad bought me a Schecter around when he had all that stuff in Colorado. He was in Fort Collins at the time. So he got me a Schecter, and it just kind of sat in my room and got stepped on and overlooked under all my toys and whatever. And so I was about 14, and I used to be really big into skateboarding, and we went over. My buddy had a half pipe, and we used to go over and ride and try and kill ourselves by not riding with helmets and whatnot, just being 14-year-old boys. Yeah. And a lot of my friends were at the time starting to pick up instruments and go do their own thing and play music. And this kid just picked it up and played a song that I knew. It was actually Back in Black by AC/DC. And I was like, you know what? That doesn't look all that hard. You know, I went and picked it up the next day, and the rest is I kind of never put it down.
Wow. Now, when did you start writing?
I've always kind of written songs, you know. I remember being a kid just coming up with rap lyrics or rock songs, or just, I could hear them always. And, you know, even before I knew how to play an instrument, I would come up with words, and I would come up with how the song would go. Right. I really started putting that stuff together and culminating it into songs that I could actually say, hey, check this out, I wrote this, and play it for people when I was about 18 or so. I think I remember the first song I wrote was called Come Away With Me, or something like that.
Now, how do you feel that that your songs, like from beginning to write stuff to now, though we're jumping ahead a little bit, but how do you feel it has evolved?
Well, now I definitely have expanded my influences. I've learned more about the instrument and learned more that I can do, learned that I can do some more things vocally than kind of simple melodies and whatnot. But for the most part, my songwriting style just hasn't really changed. I like to keep it simple at first. Yeah. You know, chord structure. As I hear the song, it just kind of, like, I'll hear the A in my head and I won't know that it's an A until I just kind of start playing and whatnot. But eventually I'll build upon it and make it better. When I'm often inspired by other artists and whatnot, so when I'll see my friend's band play or something like that, and I just notice the way he's strumming his hand a little bit differently or something like that, it's just something that I'll take and you know, apply that technique and just kind of see what happens.
Dynamics.
Yeah.
Now, as far as got a couple of important questions coming up here before the play one of your songs. First of all, can you still do the moonwalk?
I don't know if I could ever actually do it, but you get me in the right scenario. I think I could pull it off.
Awesome. Now, what do you write from? What's your
right there
muse?
It's just whatever I feel. I've often tried to break away from telling things that are more personal, just kind of make up stories and whatnot, but it's tough. Like if it's not coming from the heart, it doesn't sound as genuine. And I usually throw those songs away before anybody even hears them.
Right. Now, how do you structure a song? I mean, we have people do different things. You know, we have people that are primarily songwriters. We have people that are primarily musicians. Being both, do you write words first, come up with chords first? How do you do that?
It depends on the song. Some things I'll have a riff in my head, and then I'll try and force some words into it or something like that. For example, I have a song called Crash Site that's been worked on since, you know, I think I came up with the riff when I was 20 or so. Which I'm 23 now, so about 3 years ago. And I wrote almost an entire song and just didn't all of a sudden like the way it felt, and so I'll change it.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily work that way. Sometimes I'll sit there and I'll just hear a line in my head and I'll just repeat it, and Eventually it'll turn into something. For example, the song Memory Lane, which is one of mine, I wrote that in the car without a guitar.
Right. And then you get a song.
Yeah, there you go. And this song kind of, I figured out exactly what I wanted to do with it, and from there they just kind of evolve naturally.
Now for the most important question of the show, just before we go to one of Brian's songs. The earth-shattering, ground-shaking, ground-breaking infuriating question of the show: Elvis or the Beatles?
No, not to say that there's anything against Elvis, because I love the man to death, you know. Always on my mind, Burning Love is some of my favorite music.
Oh, yeah.
But there's nobody that's ever come close to what, in my, John Lennon is...
Wow, he defined it.
Leaves me speechless.
This is a first. We not only have the Beatles, but specifically a member of the Beatles.
Well,
Awesome.
don't get me wrong, because you got the Beatles, you got four of the greatest
Yeah.
songwriters of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And Paul McCartney and John Lennon together are just amazing. But there's just something about John Lennon, his solo
Agreed.
stuff. I heard a rock block the other day on the radio, and it was I can't remember the name of the song, but "Real is Love." Love is that song that you never hear on the radio, and I was just had to like stop my car and just sit there and listen. I love John Lennon.
John Lennon, specifics for the first time on the show. Tell you what, let's check out one of Ryan's songs and we'll be right back after this.
This is my song called "Better Off Alone." Love is such a foolish game. I tried, but I just couldn't play. I never understood all the rules. When loving you would make me crazy, I'd reminisce on better days and hope that they'll come back soon. But maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I came on too strong. Baby, I could never do you wrong. Maybe I'm jaded, thinking that love will conquer all. Maybe I'm just better off alone. Tried to understand, but never got it. We probably could have talked about it, but I never knew where to begin. Well, love is such a strange event. Proof is in the evidence, and the verdict is already in. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I came on too strong. Baby, I could never do you wrong. Maybe I'm jaded, thinking that love will conquer all. Maybe I'm just better off alone. Well, you told me this, you told me that. If you told me where the problem's at, could try again. 'Cause love is kind of like a drug, the kind that wants to lift you up and bring you down, worse when it ends. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I came on too strong. Maybe I could never do you wrong. Maybe I'm jaded, that love will conquer all. And maybe I'm just better off alone.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Minstrels on the Block. Special guest Ryan Boss. So Ryan, tell me what you got going on now.
There's a lot actually. We've been playing at Zach Brown's. We've been at Zach Brown's Southern Ground a lot. We're kind of a regular presence over there. They, which is great because everybody that works there is just awesome, and the food's amazing there.
Sweet.
It's a great place to play. I've got some shows coming up at places like Public in Atlanta, which is right next to the Fox. I am opening up, not for Derek St. Holmes, but I'm opening up the show that he's like it's a charity event. And I'm actually really excited about that. We filmed another interview in Nashville a little while back, and I got to meet him, and he came out and had lunch with me and my manager Lucy, and it was really cool, kind of a little surreal meeting him.
Awesome.
But other than that, we're kind of putting a band together and looking forward to the future.
Now tell me a little bit about now I guess you're putting a band together, so you've played by yourself. You've been solo up until now?
I've played in little bands here and there and kind of gone out and did some jams. I fronted a band for a little bit over the previous summer. Really, the acoustic thing is just, I've been doing a lot. Excuse me. It's just, it's kind of, it's more personal, you know?
Yeah.
That, and it's kind of easier to mask screw-ups. If I screw up, you don't have other people that are in a different key or whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, I've been doing primarily solo stuff over the last year or so. Well, 2 or 3 years.
So tell me how it is putting together a band, the one that you're putting together now. For
the longest time, I've been trying to put a band together since I was 17.
Yeah.
And it's just, great musicians that I've played with that just for whatever reason had other things going on in their life that it just didn't work out. So, at 17 I decided I'm done trying to find a singer.
Yeah.
That's absolutely out of the question. I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah.
So from there came me learning how to sing. So that's one of the blessings that has come out of trying to put a band together. But lately, I kind of just posted something on Facebook, and people seem to be interested in playing with me. So
nice.
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of an ego boost. I got a surprising response from people.
That's very cool.
So I've been trying out some bass players, and I have a couple that I really like, and it's gonna be narrowed down from there, and then from there I'm gonna go find a drummer. And this time around, it's been actually just a pleasure of an experience.
Very nice. Now tell me about what, as far as your vision, you're looking ahead. The average, the old lame question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? But really, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And 10 years and down the road.
I'm gonna be playing music.
Yeah.
That's a given. Whether, where I'm playing music, I have no clue.
Right.
But as long as I'm playing it, you'll see a big old smile on my face.
What's your dream goal? What are you climbing for?
As much as I can get. I don't think that, you should limit yourself to anything.
Right.
As long as I'm young and able to do it, I'm gonna do as much as I can.
Yeah, very cool.
I want to see the world, and I want to be able to say, I play music for a living.
Yeah.
And it takes me here, and it takes me here, and I get to. I'm afforded opportunities that not a lot of people have, and it's something that I can definitely see myself working very hard for over the next 5 to 10 years.
Or you can do like Matt said last week. I want to make money and move to Iceland.
Hey, that would be great too.
Now, how do you think that your songwriting and your music Because you've obviously seen it evolve from when you first started playing music to now. How do you think it might evolve in the future?
Well, I think it usually tends to evolve with how I'm maturing and how I feel. So when, in my younger days, I would, as a teenager, naturally a lot of teenagers are, oh, woe is me, the world's not giving me this and this and that. So
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of my songs sounded like back then. And then some of them got kind of sappy, the girlfriend thing, oh, this is the end of the world. And, yeah. And so I think as I started to get a little bit older, it kind of matured into more of songs about like maybe being interested in women as opposed to pining over them.
Right.
And then it started to kind of shift towards my sobriety when I quit drinking, and now it's kind of starting to shift again into from that to more positive things about just life in general and how to like get past certain things and how to build yourself up, and it's kind of evolving with my skin. I think as my skin gets a little bit thicker, so does my music.
Yeah. And you got to have thick skin.
That's so I'm told.
So now, let's just say it's a Sunday afternoon, you're walking around the house listening to music. What are you most likely to be listening to on, how's this list go, Rusty? Your wax cylinder, your 78, your 45, 33, 8-track, cassette, CD, MP3, or otherwise MP3 delivering device. What are you most likely to be listening to?
You know what? 9 out of 10 times, if I'm listening to a song, it's on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Just because, as well as audio, I'm very attracted to visuals.
Yeah.
And I could pick up something, like I said before, I'll pick up a different technique.
Yeah.
So while I'm listening, I'm enjoying the music and I'm having a good time or doing whatever I'm doing, but I'm also learning a little bit of something too.
Which is awesome. That's great. When you're a musician, you're always looking for that next new thing that you can add to your repertoire. That's awesome. Rusty, remind me to add YouTube to the list. Tell you what, let's check out one of Ryan's songs. We'll be right back after this.
It's a song called State Lines.
To myself, I can think of nothing else, and it breaks my heart in two to be so far from you. And I travel across state lines, stay up all night, just fight from morning light and be by his side. Maybe this'll take all night, that's just fine, that's alright. I'll be right by your side and hold you tight. Well, it breaks my heart in two just to be so far from you. And travel across state lines, stay up all night, just to fight the morning light and be by your side. Breaks my heart in two to be so far from you. And I'll travel across state lines, stay up all night, just fight the morning light and be by your side. Maybe I'll go insane if this life doesn't change. I'm so close to your place, I'm minutes away. Well, it breaks my heart in two to be so far from you. And I'll travel across state lines, stay up all night, just to fight the morning light and be by your side.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Minstrels on the Block. Special guest, Ryan Boss. So this is part of the show where we like to pimp stuff. This is the pimping section of the show.
Bring that exhibit, right?
This is where we shamelessly promote whoever's on the show. So Ryan, shamelessly promote yourself.
Shamelessly promote myself. Wow. until you said it like that, I could totally have done it. Let's see. So, you know, some things that I've done that are pretty cool. So we got to go to see Paul Rogers a couple months ago. I got to meet him actually, which was, let me tell you something. Like I'm still speechless. I still can't believe that it happened. And then on top of that, I got to play one of my songs for him.
Nice.
Yeah, right? So then we go see his play the next day, and we're like right up front. Right, like,
yeah.
Paul Rogers. So then he shoves a microphone in my face, just in front of everybody. Nice. It was almost exactly like Rockstar, like the movie with Mark Wahlberg. You know,
yeah.
I can't remember the name of the article, but they even mentioned that.
No.
He said something that he's going to go on tour with Steel Dragon in a couple weeks. Some other things. Let's see. You know, it's so tough to talk about myself. You know? The website, ryanbossmusic.com. It's always being updated, and it's always kind of up to date with what's going on. It's always got news. It's always got shows, which I believe there's something like 45 appearances coming up between now and July. So we're doing a lot of work with the Atlanta Children's Hospitals. Cool. Let's see, I'm trying to think of all this stuff. It's so tough. I guess that's good though. You know, I'm busy.
Well, tell them your Facebook, and whatever you forget to say on the air, then they can
the Facebook, Ryan Boss Music Facebook. Really, Ryan Boss Music, everything. I believe there's a reverb for that now that we're slowly starting to work up, and I'm going to start using the Reverb Nation page.
Cool.
Other than that, I'm just really excited to start playing some electric music again.
Yeah. Nothing like it in the world.
Oh, no. It's been a while since I've kind of sunk my teeth into it, and
yeah,
definitely looking forward to getting back into it.
Very cool.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, there's nothing like playing with a band, and, you know, that's awesome. Tell me, I've got a couple of questions I ask, you know, and most of the time we have very, very local people on the show. But this is interesting, and I had a similar situation when Brent Lindley came back from Nashville. I got to ask him, you know, about some different areas. But what do you think of the local music scene in Atlanta?
I think the local scene in Atlanta is cooler than anything else. Anything like in Los Angeles, New York, and just because you have so many different things, but it's small enough to be like, I know everybody. Like, well, not everybody, but, you know, I know this guy, or if I don't know this guy, I've heard his name, or I've heard, or they've heard of me. We all know each other,
right.
And it's really cool. The Atlanta scene's also kind of divided a little bit into, like, you know, what's inside Atlanta and what's outside.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But it's kind of cool to reach out to both. And there's such a broad market in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think Atlanta's definitely the place to be, or Georgia in general. It's just the way that music is going.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, because there's Atlanta, there's Athens, Columbus. You know, there's actually quite a music scene. Macon is unbelievable. Now, if you could improve the Atlanta scene? How do you think it could be improved?
I don't know if that's necessarily my place to say. The only music that I try and worry about improving is my own. I think, if you feel something and you're comfortable doing it and that's what makes you happy, go for it.
One other question. Sitting out in the audience, since we have, probably 7 or 8 viewers by now, there's probably somebody out there with a guitar or a canvas or anything, that, an aspiring artist who maybe hasn't quite got out there yet. Maybe they're dreaming of it, they're working on it. What advice would you give to aspiring artists watching this show?
I would definitely say study your idols, but be true to yourself. It's important to know where you're coming from and to know what people have already done and use that to create something new that holds something for you. So definitely stay true to yourself and do what you got to do. Don't listen to what somebody else is telling you got to do or anything like that. And if all else fails, I say go out and buy yourself Stevie Ray Vaughan, Texas Flood, and just learn that note for note.
Awesome. All right. I appreciate you coming in, being on the show,
having
man.
me. Thank you so much.
Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Ryan Boss on Minstrels on the Block. I'm your host, Brian Mallard. We'll see you next time, only on CTV EA.
The song is called That Could Be Dangerous. When you get tipsy, you wanna get frisky, you wanna get down, you said you in the mood. A taste of poison on your lips, know you've been up to no good. Do you truly think that you can fool me? What you ain't think, I heard a lie before. I've been sold by girls like you who can leave me wanting more. I can see miles ahead of me, headed straight for misery. Know it's true, but I don't want to believe that she ain't who she seems to be. 'Cause that could be dangerous to me. That could be dangerous to me. Devil in a black dress, she's a great actress, real convincing with the bedroom eyes on. She got me caught up in a grasp, know that I can't hold on long. Hold on long, I can see miles ahead of me. Straight for misery. Know it's true, but I don't want to believe that she ain't who she seems to be. 'Cause that could be dangerous to me. That could be dangerous to me. Great actress, it got me feeling helpless and drew me in with the siren song. Sucked from me nearly everything, took off, now she's long gone. miles ahead of me, headed straight for misery. I know it's true, but I don't want to believe that she ain't who she seems to be. Well, that could be dangerous to me.